Welcome, reading three. Although I said this the other two, and I'm going to say it again. It's just like it's naturally coming out, but it feels more in depth than just a pick a reading, if that makes any sense. Yes, Spirit called me to do these love readings on Valentine's Day, but all of them have felt so different. And yours is no exception. You're the third and last. Welcome. I also think it's interesting that you chose the Starborn reading three, and it's the number three as well. These are Roman numerals. Oh, I couldn't come up with that. And the other readings, I was like, Greek letter, what? Ooh, because you guys are so powerful. This one is very interesting. Right out the gate, you guys, I am feeling. I don't know if you've ever seen Cynthia Erivo in Harriet Tubman. And if you don't know who Harriet Tubman is, please research her. And if Spirit calls me to, I will put a link in the description box. Always check the description box for little pearls. But I got this vibe that the song from that is like, you need to hear it. It's like, I feel like you need an anthem right now. And I feel like your mission, should you choose to accept it, is let this song be your anthem. It's funny because I watched that movie and I loved her in that movie, but I never, when they put it together, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I did not realize that this actor who played Harriet Tubman is also the same actor that played Alphaba in Wicked. I'm like, holy shit, it's just so fucking powerful. And on Broadway, she was in The Color Purple. So, I mean, I feel like if you look at the characters that she's playing, it's like she's playing someone who's fighting for the rights of people or fighting for their own rights, to just breathe and be alive and be who they are. And, that's been my slogan for a long, 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 many a moon, be who you are. Ooh, I don't know who that is, but hold on. Oh, it's my water delivery. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, hold on. Okay. And of course, when I look, it's 2 minutes and 13 seconds. So I know for you guys, it's seconds, but it's been many minutes for me. And I just have to tell you that I'm like vibrating. I would say shaking, but I'm not shaking like because I'm cold or anything. I'm shaking because I'm vibrating from the energy of this beautiful, beautiful light worker that just stopped by. We normally get our water delivered on the 12th, unless it's like on a weekend, then it'll show up early, right? So when the water didn't show up yesterday, I was like, oh man. And Alder was like, I paid. He's like, I don't know what's going on. And I said, did they message you or anything? And he's like, no. He's like, I got an email for the bill, but he's like, that's it. And I was like, okay. So of course I took the bottles, back, and I was just like, whatever. We're going to get back to the story, by the way. I've got a pin in that for sure. But this is tying in. This is what I'm talking about with spirit and why it's so magical. And if you found yourself here and you're new, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. So long story short, spirit urged me to put the bottles back out. And I was like, okay. I mean, I believe in magic and miracles. I'm like, sure. I'm like, they had me put them back out. I left them there until yesterday, the 13th. And then I was like, well, they didn't come yesterday, and I highly doubt they're going to come today. So I'm like, forget it. So I put them away, and then Spirit told me to put them back. And I'm like, okay. So I put them back. And as you guys heard, I heard a truck, come up. Like, I live on 5 acres, and, you know, it's like you can hear that, and you can hear when a big truck, big water truck like that is like, it's like not quite a semi, but a pretty big truck, is coming down the driveway when it's only, 100 feet away. And when I looked outside, I'm like, did I put those bottles there? Like I had to, like, I paused with you guys, but I was like, I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, did I put the bottles there? I was like second guessing myself. And I looked and I see him, bringing the water, and I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, he's such a great guy. And I was like, just thinking about like how wonderful our delivery person is and how kind they are. And that, he walks it all the way over here. He doesn't have to do that, but he could just leave them right there on the driveway, take the empties and put the new ones there. But he doesn't. He walks them all those feet to, outside my door. So I was turning around and I was about to unpause to get back into this, tell you about Cynthia Erivo, Harriet Tubman, the ancestors, and all this, when I saw him bring more. And I was like, what is he doing? I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, what is he doing? I only put 2 out there because we have to move in a few weeks. So I was just like, I only wanted 2, so we don't have to try and move them, And that's when I was like, okay, I got to pause this. I was like, I got to go talk to him. And so I went out to talk to him, and we've been getting deliveries here from them for like almost a year. And I was like, what's going on? I'm like, why are you doing it? He's like, oh, he's like, I saw all these empties. I'm like, oh, no, we use those to get like other water for like gray water and stuff. And he's like, oh, okay. And I said, yeah. I thought we paid for him. And like, we ended up having this conversation about it. But then it led to, all of a sudden, I was like, oh my goddess, he's a Starborn. He could have come at any other time. As you have seen, I recorded these reading 1, 2, and 3 completely separately. Spirit wanted me to do that for a reason. And timing is everything. Everything. It really is. So we ended up having a conversation, and I was like telling them a little bit, about what I do. And I was like, I didn't know why, but I was compelled to tell them what I do, tell them about my channel. And they were like, oh, that's interesting. Now, whether they ever do anything with that information is up to them. But I just thought it was so powerful that they came in on this reading 2 minutes and 13 seconds in. I've been having these amazing breakthroughs. Although I'm devastated that Bubba passed away 2 weeks ago, at the same time, she's so powerful. It's like when my mom died, and like my mom just became like a superhero. And it's the same for Bubba. And I've just been like getting stronger and stronger and stronger and working through these things. And the more I'm facing any type of concern or, the F word, FEAR, is when the light just wants to come back in and remind me how powerful I am, and that I'm a Starborn, and that I was brought here for a reason, and so are you. So let me get the book. I just realized that. So, because I don't normally take that much time in between readings, I really try to stay focused with you guys, but this is different. This is like, I knew that I was meant to talk to that individual, and I knew I was meant to even share it with you guys, just to be like, there are no accidents, like even the middle of a reading. Have you ever been watching a reading and like the reader's phone will go off and they're like, oh shit, I forgot to turn my phone off, or they're like, oh, that means something. It does. It all means something. So, I don't know what your second card is. It fell forward, but I didn't see it for sure. Oh, I almost opened up exactly to it. I like opened the book, and then this was like the second thing I opened. So I'm excited to see what is going to be in card 2, because I only saw a snippet of it, but it's one of those cards like I know it, but I don't remember it exactly. Some cards like this one, like come up a lot, especially for our tribe. And then other ones will come in sometimes in a reading and you're like, oh, that's it. Oh yeah. But like when you have 78 cards in a deck, you're not always going to examine every single card and every single archetype. At least I don't. I have 30 plus decks. I'm like, it's not that I don't find it interesting. It's just my time and energy is that it feels like, cause they're just tools, right? Like I'm in gratitude for these tools, but they're just tools for me to use. It's not about studying a deck so much as, unless you're somebody who like is into tarot or something. Anyway, let's take a sip of water. I feel like I need to get grounded. We did this in the other reading too. So I'm going to do it for you guys as well. Okay. Let's just take a moment, take a breath. Oh, thank you, Spirit. Because the first time I met this person that I'm telling you about, our water delivery person, they, I don't want to say their name because I don't know, you know what I mean, if they would feel comfortable. So I'm not going to say that, but I just felt something really special from them, like super, super special. But I didn't want to, I always try to be mindful, they're quite young. And I'm in my 50s, and I don't want to come off as like some cougar. Some people will take it one way and some people take it another. So I just kind of, I'm very, very gentle when I'm dealing with people. But I don't know. It's, as some of you know, or some of you who've walked with me or worked with me, you know, we've had moments where I'm like, you know, one of our tribe members, first time I met him, I'm like, are you Jesus? Like, I was dead serious because I had never, and still to this day, I have never seen that kind of light and that kind of aura around a human being before. I'd never seen it. I never witnessed it. It was so golden and precious. And I was getting these imageries of Christ on the cross and the whole thing. So I was very confused, and I was seeing pictures of me like wiping Jesus' feet. And like, I was like, I didn't know what was happening, but it's that kind of thing. It was that kind of where I'm like, I know this person's super special. I know this person is meant to do something super special, but I have no idea. Like, I'm only here to like guide them, you know, unless we work more one-on-one. But anyway, so I'm going to get back to you guys, but I just feel like it's almost like their visit was a metaphor for who you are. So basically, as I'm describing them, I'm describing you. And this card, the Starborn, says the divine child, the star child, the destined, an elusive yet radiant aspect of the self. The Starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of the light that arrives with each being at birth. The moment the newborn I thought it said crows. The moment the newborn crowns, whether vaginally or surgically, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the Starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insight. What did you desire when you were young? Practice seeing your life from a mythic point of view rather than as a series of logistics. Read the story of the three fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. So I wasn't sure. I'm going to do this. I feel like this needs to be made into a shorts. It's just too good. Had to take a screenshot. But also when I look down 1204, so if that means anything to you guys, so it could be December 4th, it could be adding the numbers together, it's number 7, could be life path number, it could be your birthday, anything, whatever. It could even be, you know, because in other countries, like they transpose the numbers, so it could even be 4/12. It could be April 12th. So I'm just going to put those out there if that means anything to you, okay? Because I was really going back and forth with this reading, whether it was going to be like a relationship reading, a love, because when they were telling me about it, I got a very strict, like, no, these are strictly love, like romantic relationship readings. I'm like, all of them? They're like, yes. And then when I was putting yours together, I just felt this very solo energy. So I feel like for this, and because they were talking about twins and the stars and all that, I feel like you are either in a twin flame relationship or you're single. And maybe you're trying to get back with somebody who's a twin flame, or you're trying to get back with somebody who's not, and your twin flame is out there. Because see how the egg is like cracked there? I feel like you're not quite there yet. There's something else going on. I grew up in the 80s, and I'm trying to remember that song where they're like, there's something going on. What? Oh gosh, tell me if you know the song, please put it below. Please comment below because it'll drive me crazy. There's something going on. What song was that from? But that's what I'm feeling, is like there's something going on with this counterpart or whatever. So here is your other card. Oh, the comic. Interesting. So it's number 26, which is also the number 8. Oh, look at that. There's a kitty. I was just talking about Bubba passing away a few weeks ago. Oh my gosh. And look at him with the little party hat. Oh my gosh. So this is really, oh, look at that. I want to put this back here instead of here. Why? All right. You know what? I'm going to hold this one for a minute, and then I'm going to go to the comic because there's more to be read in the Starborn card, but I feel like they want us to go to the comic first. So let's go to that. So 26, which is also the number 8. All right, 26. Here we go. The comic, the Joker, the clown, the fool. The comic carries a remedy for all that ails this world. Amid the deepest pain and suffering, there is always the potential to lift up and out of the darkness through laughter. Though dismissed by some as lowbrow or unsophisticated, this archetype actually has a highly advanced mind. Some may use the word genius. as humor requires one to quote unquote see the situation from afar than to be swept away by the drama. The comic sees and accepts the messiness of life, using it as material to be mixed and shaped into a potion to soothe the stressed and serious mind. They literally lighten us up. So, thus within, the comic is usually the sage or the magician working healing magic upon any audience who will lend an ear. The comic may be the archetype that heals the deep division in our world, one pun at a time. Oh, yeah. I mean, do you have those people in your life that, or maybe this is, so you're the comic and they're this, or maybe you both are, but I also, I can't stop but like, look at how sad that cat looks. It looks like it's crying. It's almost like I feel like whoever the comic is in this relationship or in this story is crying on the inside. Like you're excited for your party and you'll wear the hat and everything, but you may want to look at reading too as well because we have our tribe is very large and we are over 1,000 strong now, and there's always, they say, according to what they say, if it's true and the algorithms and all that good stuff, that if you have 1,000 subscribers, you tend to have as twice as much or possibly even more that watch your channel. They just don't like, comment, or subscribe. But I will say this, that we are 1,000 strong now, 1,000 plus strong. And welcome to the new people, as I've said, and welcome back to those of you who keep coming back. Thank you for supporting this work on this channel. But we have a very large portion of the LGBTQ community in our tribe. And there are many of you who live in a quote unquote straight marriage or relationship, but deep down you are longing for something different, something else. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I have had many friends, many, that fall in love with the person. They don't care about what their genitalia is. Wherever they go in their pleasure palace is not about that. It's way beyond that. So, the fact that even the government in America is trying to bring back this like man, woman, it's like that right there is the patriarchal. Like that's like, dude, you're showing your fucking hand. You know what I mean? Like if this were a poker game, it's like you guys are showing your hand. Like we see what you're doing. We all see what you're doing. We all see what's happening. And the only people who want it to go back to that world are the people who want that world. And that's fine. But that's not what America was built on. It was supposed to be the land of the free and the brave. You can worship who you want. You can be with who you want. It's like, it wasn't about that. And people are confusing sexuality and gender and love and all these, I did a dragon reading recently, and one of the dragons said that love is not their favorite word. And, no matter if it's amore or, you know what I mean? It's like in whatever language the word love is used too loosely. They were saying in the universe, we are made of love. So when you're like, I love you, you know what I mean? It's like that. I remember a time when saying I love you to your friend would be like, dude, you're queer. Why did you that's a girl. Why did you just tell you love her? I'm like, because I do love her. And they're like, yeah, you only say that to like your significant other or your parents. You don't say that to your friends. I'm like, why? I'm like, why wouldn't you say to your friend, I love you, man. Like, I love you. Like what? I don't get it. Like I was very perplexed by that. Now it's become, everybody says it. And I know that's what the dragons were saying. It's like, I meant it from my heart. And my dad would get angry and be like, you love everybody. He was Southside Chicago, blue collar, and he was just like, don't tell people you love them. They'll take advantage of you. They were always so concerned about, who I loved, who was in my orbit. And here I was, this sad kitty clown in the middle of it all. And, I can tell you very selfishly, not just that I love them as humans and they were my friends, but another reason why I've been so close to that community is because they never judged me for who I was. And then when my friends who were in that community started making fun of me, being a medium, a witch, all of these things, I was like, So I guess it's just, that's just it. I'm like, so you don't like being told, whatever, but you're going to treat me like this? I was like, no. And I started to just zap people out of my life, and it didn't matter anymore. I was like, this is my life. And I will love who I want. I will fuck who I want. I will talk to who I want to. I will be who I am. I will dress in these clothes. I will say these words. I will live this life in this profession. And I am not going to allow anybody in my life that I love tell me who I was. So a lot of the rage and the anger that's been happening on the planet is about greed and control and power. And unfortunately, greed, control, and power don't have a gender. So as loving light beings, we have to love back. We have to love, even we may not like somebody, but we still have to love them because we don't know how they came out that way. Or even if we know how they came out that way, and as an adult, they still don't, like the old saying says, you can grow up, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean you're mature. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, basically the saying is like, just because someone ages doesn't mean that they grew up. I mean, it's baffling to watch some of the things that are happening in humanity right now. But that's where it needs to be. So, I think it's very interesting that we have the comic and we have the Starborn. And I can't help but feel that this isn't just a romantic love relationship. I feel like this is also a romantic love relationship with yourself and accepting yourself for who you are and coming out, whether it's coming out of the broom closet as a witch or coming out of the closet and saying, this is who I am. I love, and I love hard, and I love deeply, and I don't want to be judged by who I love and when I love, or, so this love reading is a love reading. Your twin flame could very well be 2 women, 2 men. Now, I will say this, the throuple, I don't know if that is to be fair, I don't know, so I'm not going to say anything. There are some people who want to be in a throuple, and if you don't know what that is, that's 3 people in a romantic relationship. But I feel like, in my experience, so I don't judge anything, okay? But in my experience, even if you're in a throuple, I feel like that whatever the third wheel is kind of aspect, because I feel like this is a wheel on the color wheel, no matter what aspect, no matter what color they are, what background, whatever, what level of consciousness they're at, in terms of breaking into their spiritual awakening, I feel like it's a learning experience. And you might be in a twin flame relationship that you bring another person in, but as far as I know, it's twins, it's 2. So it's going to be 2 people, whatever they identify with, outside, inside. So this feels very strongly like a twin flame reading. And I feel like the comic in this relationship is also the one that, see how it ends on the green, and the green is the heart chakra. So I feel like whoever is the comedian in this relationship is the one that's helping you to like kind of see past things. I mean, I didn't realize it. I always thought I was pretty easygoing. Always. I always thought I was so easygoing and open-minded until I got together with my partner. And, he was like, farts are funny. Farts are funny. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, they're still like, are we going to fart in a restaurant and like laugh at it? I'm like, what are you, 7, like thing. And he's like, no, I'm just saying, he's like, my dad used to say farts are funny. And he's like, and it's true. Farts are funny. It's a really odd thing that our human body does. And over time, he would burp talk and do all these very quote unquote masculine things, like things that like, oh, boys do that. But I knew girls that loved to fart and talk about it. I knew girls that could burp talk. I had my one friend, Tanya. Oh my gosh, she was so tiny. I think she was like 4'10" and beautiful, tiny little blonde girl, white blonde hair, very, little angel, very pale skin, pale blue eyes. And to look at her, she looked so angelic, like a doll. And then she'd be like, blah, 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 and she would like do a burp talk and whatever. And we would all like just fucking bust out laughing because you're like, how is that coming out of this little person, this beautiful little tiny China doll looking girl, But it's like, because she thought it was funny. I don't know if she had brothers or whatever, but whatever it was, nobody told her that it wasn't feminine or that it was wrong. Or even if they did, she was like, I don't give a shit. But over the years, I can now burp talk because of my partner, because of her, because, and it sounds silly and it sounds so mundane and whatever, but it's not trivial. These are the things, like sometimes somebody's just got to like say something to lighten the fucking mood. When Bubba passed away, I was a fucking shit show for days. Couldn't talk to me, couldn't console me, was not good. I couldn't feel my face. I had like scars that were building under my eyes from the salt from my tears. I was like, how is it humanly possible to even fucking still cry this much? And then she did something. She like, and it just made me laugh so hard. And I'm like, oh, Bubba. I'm like, I fucking miss you, man. And she's like, I haven't gone anywhere. My avatar's gone. That's as long as I was going to live in that little furry avatar. She's like, but I'm always with you. And I needed that. I needed that laugh. So call upon your spirit guides and your angels. Like when it's getting really tough, maybe there's not enough. Maybe there's not enough comedy. You know what I mean? Maybe there's not enough laughs, and spirit's like, just stop taking shit so seriously. Because the way that things are right now, it looks that they want it to look scary. They want you to be afraid. They want you to think this is like some Hitler Nazi takeover. Even if it isn't, it's like they want us to believe that. So it's putting people back in the fear state. They're going into, and fear is also equivalent to a freeze state. Because when you're not in a flow, like I know everything's going to work out for me, in a faith state, because there's faith or fear, man. I just made a shorts for that for my Lula's Labyrinth channel. I haven't posted it yet, but it's like I said, faith versus fear. You get the choice every day to either have faith or be afraid. And all the things that were happening in my relationship that weren't going my way, and I'm saying it that way because it's true, that weren't going my way, was all my own shit. Because if I think something's not going my way and I'm blaming somebody else for it, or even just saying like things aren't going my way, then I'm not in the flow of divine timing, because they are. And just because I can't see it, or just because it's not moving as rapidly as I would like it to move, doesn't mean anything. It's still ever changing and moving. Always. So when we are in light in the Starborn, then our energy, what does this say? Sorry, I was staring at something for the longest time and now I have to look at something and it's not very light in here. Okay, so when we're in light, we're trusting, we're vibrant. And I don't know why, but it's like they don't want me to see these other words. So when we're in light in the Starborn, like we're brand new, right? Like we trust it. We trust the person. We trust ourselves. Like we trust it. We trust it. When we're in light, we trust it. And that's all we need, is to know that, that this is happening. That it's all happening exactly and unfolding exactly as it's meant to. So when we're in this, brand new, like looking at the world through rosy glasses, we're like that. But when we're in shadow, well, we're feeling misaligned. We're feeling loss. We're feeling longing, right? Like say you're in the egg and you haven't fully hatched yet. And you're like, what's going on? Like, you can hear, like you hear the chirp, 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 chirp. And you hear your siblings, right? They've all cracked out of their shell. And, the other light workers, like they're doing stuff. And you're like, what? Why? Because you're just not ready. You're still there. You're not in the incubation period. You're like almost there. Like they're like, hello, it's only going to take a little bit longer. Also, most of the time when it's stuck like that and they're chirping and they're like, oh, I hear them. What's going to happen? They will kick and they will start to fight with their wings until they kick that fucking shell open. And that's what you need to do. Right now, some of you are just opening up. You're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Witches are real. And like, I'm magic and I'm an angel. And it's like, yep. And all this stuff is real. That the fake matrix of that's trying to control us. I mean, why do you think a Handmaid's Tale book was written and made into a show? Why do you think the last season is this year? Come on. If you haven't watched A Handmaid's Tale, you really need to watch it, because it'll change everything for you. Because whether you are quote unquote woman or not, you have sisters or friends or mother, grandmother, whatever, and would you want them to be taken out of their homes and made into sex slaves and made into, any type of slave? No. But that's what happens in the books, and that's what happens in the show. And, we're not, are you kidding? Women are like, not going to happen. I spoke about it in these other readings, but Anonymous is back. And if you don't know who Anonymous is, research them. But they're back, and they go underground when things are, whatever. But when things start to get out of hand is when they show back up, and they just showed back up. And so shit's about to get really fucking real. And which is why some people, are like, what's going to happen? Are we going to lose electricity? Whatever. I'm like, we may lose things for a while. I'm not going to put any fear into you because I don't believe in that. But yeah, it's always a good idea to have water and food on hand, or to, but it's not to stockpile and get crazy about it. Spirit has got your back. You will always be taken care of. I've been down to my last morsel of food, and something or somebody will show up in my orbit and like help me. Every time. And when I really need spirit and I reach out to them and I say, I really need this right now, if it doesn't show up, then I know that I need to hang in there a little bit longer. And I might be eating fucking ramen for several meals. But I know that when I'm flush again, I'm going to have all those foods that I want. And it was just a time for me to kind of take a minute, take a break. And be in gratitude. Living in gratitude every single day. When I looked down, I saw 31. Which is the number of the goddess too, and the number of the witch in reverse. And also the day Bubba died 2 weeks ago today. Happy Valentine's Day, happy Love Day. But they had me do these readings today on Love Day so that we can be reminded of who we are, where we came from, and why we're here. And not fall into this false matrix of this bullshit story, these spoon-fed stories that we've been given that are just not true. We all feel it. That scene in Overboard, whether you watch the old one with Goldie Hawn or the new one with Anna Faris, either way, both of those movies like show you like that they have amnesia, but they end up somewhere that they wouldn't normally be. And they're like, she's like, I don't belong here. She's like, I feel it. She's like, don't you think I feel it? She's like, this doesn't feel right to me. Something is very, very wrong. And she was right. But, she let the lies and the other things go on, and then she finally succumbed to that life. But the irony is, deep down, that was her. But she was in a false matrix of what her parents told her she was, a rich debutante. I can go on and on about all the, about that movie and that story. But in the end, she could have, well, I don't want to tell you the story, but, it's like, but her heart was like telling her, even though she could feel she was in the wrong place, her heart was wanting to be there, and she couldn't explain it. She didn't understand. So I feel like for some reason that was meant for, so either the movies itself or for something else, but I was meant to tell you that. So when we are in light for the comic, it says hilarious, ingenious, spirited, and easygoing. But when we're in shadow of the comic, we're sarcastic, harsh, brooding, and drunk. So maybe that clicks for somebody. Could be a drinking problem, because you could have somebody in your life that's the best fucking comic, but if they're drinking and then the shadow comes out and it's like they're not the same person, that's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of situation. And I know, because I'm with a triple Gemini with a moon in Sagittarius, and I'm a triple Sag with my moon in Scorpio, and we struggle a lot because of that kind of energy where it's like, it's literally like two people, and I'm always like, which one is winning? And I can tell, I've known them for so long, I can tell which one's winning in the moment. So it's also, they want me to say this, it's also that old metaphor, which wolf are you feeding? Right? And which part of the relationship are you feeding that, whether this is just a self-reading or it's both a relationship, whatever it is, whatever this comes through for you, because there's many people who watch these, but, whatever aligns with your story. But, and I don't remember if it was the first reading or the second one, but they also had a question like that. Like one of the questions was like, what do you despise about yourself? And whatever you despise about yourself or despise about the other person is basically the thing you need to work on. And it could be, if this is, because the drunk part came out, I know that this has been an issue for a lot of our tribe, whether it's us having, issues with addictions or our partner or both. A lot of light workers and starseeds deal with addiction because we've been trying to candy coat and hide who we are for so many millennia. And this passes on through our genes. They've done scientific studies, which I think are probably true. Some people don't believe it, but it makes sense to me if it is true that we would carry on that gene. I know I come from many generations of alcoholics, and I think some of it is taught, yes, but I also think that some of it is like, the medicine that we use at that time, to deflect what we're not wanting to work with and look at. So that's very, very, very interesting. So in the Starborn, there's a few more messages for both. And it says in the Starborn, when this card appears, don't be surprised if you receive a surge of desire for a long lost dream, one you haven't visited since childhood. Let this desire, I don't know if, oh, here we go. Let this desire shake you up. And again, we spoke about this in one of the other readings too. So if don't make it your story, you know what I mean? But if you were drawn to one of the other readings, there might be a reason for that. So you might want to check that out. And then the last message is for the Starborn. Hold on. I got to get in the light back. I can get back in the light. Okay. Have your chart read. Study your constellation. What does it say? Oh, okay. Have your chart read. Study your constellated shape. We spoke about this in one of the other readings too. Oh man, I don't remember which one it was, but if you were drawn to it, because we are all born with a blueprint. When we're born at that exact time, the stars like align in a certain way, and it's like they take like a screenshot of it. That's like the best visual I can give you that they're showing me. Drink some water, by the way. And they're saying that this shape is very important for those of you who are not sure like what to do, like career path or like how to move forward or with this relationship. I feel like it's going to make a difference. Also, I'm feeling like if you are in a relationship and this applies to you, get both of yours, get the snapshot of both of your constellations and look at the shapes and see what they look like and see how they align or don't align, or like, you know what I mean? I feel like there's something in that's been coming through a lot lately. Because our astrological chart is our treasure map to our entire existence. If we followed it and like literally followed astrology, we would not have a perfect life, but we would definitely be more in flow with things. But a lot of times, did you ever notice if someone tells you to do something, if you're feeling a little stubborn or you're not sure or whatever, or your ego's coming out, that you'll do the polar opposite. And then you're like, why did that happen? I knew I shouldn't have done that. And instead of just trusting your gut reaction, which you know is the truth, but you don't want to hear it, especially if it's coming from someone that you don't particularly like, those are usually the times when you really need to listen. It's from the people, right? Like out of the mouths of babes, like when kids say shit and the parents are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't know why they said that. And it's like, because they needed to say that because somebody had to speak fucking truth. Somebody had to spit the truth out. Somebody had to do it. And an 8-year-old or a 4-year-old can sometimes see a lot more clearly than, an adult. So that's really powerful. That's so powerful. So look into that. And it says, ask questions like this. So if you want to write these questions down, get a pen and paper, pause it. It says, what does the process conjure in you? Like looking up your birth chart, looking at the shape of it, like what is it conjuring in you? Okay. It says, is it conjuring faith or mistrust? What would happen if you saw the galaxy as your ally? Oh shit. So if I can get it in here, I'll try and do a screenshot, or you guys can take a screenshot. If it'll go in there. If it doesn't, I feel like it's not meant to, and I'm not going to force it. Oh, there, look at that. Almost perfectly. Okay, do you see that? Take a screenshot of that, because that's your homework to work with. Whether it pertains to your relationship or just yourself, or both. Okay? So take a screenshot of that. I feel like I want to take a screenshot of that too. Perfect. Thank you, Spirit. It moved, so maybe I'm not supposed to. Okay, and so now we're going to go to the last messages of the comic. The comic. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Then when I said that, it opened up to it. I love it. Okay, so this says, joy, jokes, and smiles are signs of a happy heart. Be wary of spiritual practices or teachers who leave the comic by the wayside. Yeah, that's something that when I was studying with certain people, I was so serious about it. Or I'd get really mad at my friends if they didn't take like meditation seriously, or if they, whatever. And then the last shaman that I walked with, who had studied all these different cultures and religions, just like I did, and I was really so I admired them, so still do. They were the ones that were also like, people fart, or like humans, like, she's like, you gotta fucking laugh, you gotta lighten up. Like, she kept saying that to me over and over, you gotta lighten up, you gotta lighten up. And she helped me to lighten up. My partner got me to lighten up. My friends got me to lighten up. And I started to realize that it didn't have to be that serious. Yes, they want us to eat good foods and take care of ourselves, but they also know that we want a fucking bag of chips sometimes, and that's okay. It's just like, don't do it every day. You're going to fucking ruin your avatar, and your avatar is a machine. It's like, it's like a car needs gas, right? So we know of this time, like a car needs gas, but there are some gas that are cleaner. That's why they're more expensive, because they go through more rigorous, cleansing processes. So it helps your engine to run cleaner. However, my husband, who is a mechanic, has said this many times. There are so many ways that you can run a car without using, or you can run an engine without using gasoline. But they don't want us to know that. They don't, you know what I mean? These rich people, they don't want us to know that. And when people start to do that, they get laughed at, or they die, or they disappear, or, you know what I mean? Because they want that cash cow to keep coming in. So be wary of people who are taking things too seriously, or if they're like, judging you and judging your practice, like, please forgive me. I may have done it to you before, and I apologize. And I'm grateful now that I can laugh and work through things. A lot of you have mentioned this in the last few years. You're like, wow, you've changed so much. Like, you're not as emotional. You're not as heavy. Because of course I'm an empath and I'm sensitive and all that. And I cry and I love that part of myself. But I also know that, unless it's like, obviously, if I saw something happen horrific in front of me, I would react, and I would, my emotions would probably take over. But I also know that, like, you can cry at something and laugh at it later. Even the most vile things that you're like, how can you say something like that? Like, they were hit by a truck. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? They went quickly. At least they went quickly, and it's like, sometimes you just have to look at the lighter side of things, even if it's not the most appropriate at the time. So the last bit of advice and information from the comic is, the comic has plenty of shape to... Gosh, I went this whole time without my glasses. I'm like, don't make me do it. I might have to go get because it's getting darker too. That's why. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it over here. Let me see if I can see what it says. Okay, the comic has plenty of shade to throw on others, and it can fall into shadow at the drop of a hat. Beware of their sharp claws. Fuck. Yeah, because did you ever have somebody who's like super funny and super cool, whether they're sober or drunk? But man, you piss them off and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that fucking lived inside of you. But it's good because, that just goes to show that they're human and that we all have a dark side, right? But a lot of times people will keep those, sharp teeth at bay, because they will disguise themselves as like this kind of energy, but deep down, no, they're the sad fucking clown, man. And we know that even though that clown looks sad, if it gets pressed against the wall, they've got claws and they got fucking teeth and fangs, and they will fuck your shit up. So if that's what's going on in your orbit, then that's what needs to leave. And that's what I'm feeling from Spirit, is that, it's like, what did you say, Spirit? Yeah, the good doctor and the bad doctor, right? Because Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it's like, well, he's a doctor. So no matter whichever side of him it is, his shadow is still a doctor. I was very disturbed actually when I saw that they were remaking American Psycho, and I've never wanted to throw shade at an actor or anything, but I was very sad because I'm like, I get it when like an actor wants to like show how diverse they are, and they're like, I don't want to be typecast, so I'm going to go to the extreme to the other side. But I was like, I don't think murdering and dismembering women is a story we need to fucking revisit. It's happening every day. It's called human trafficking. And I'm like, I'm very disappointed and disturbed. I remember when that book came out and my friend was reading it, and I was at a party, and I remember picking up the book, and I'm like, American Psycho. And I just like picked up the book, and it was, I don't know where it was in the middle, but definitely not the beginning or end. And I was reading it and I was like, what is this? I'm like, this is fucking horrible. I'm like, what is this book? And he was like, oh my God. He's like, it's such a good book. I'm like, this is gross. And he's like, no, he's like, it's kind of like Dexter. And I'm like, and I was really into Dexter at the time. And I was like, no, no, no. Dexter is, has this, urge to kill, and he doesn't know why. And so he was taught to kill the people that quote unquote deserve it. People who are killing, raping, human trafficking, like some of our leaders in the world right now, right? Like that are doing these horrible things. It's like, those are the people they would target and use that energy. That's what they're here for. They're like a human weapon, if God made you and goddess, whatever, the creator, if they made us, right, as these light workers and whatever, they made them too. So, it's like same with witches when people are like, are you a black witch or a white witch? And I'm like, I'm like, we all have both. So I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. I'm like, but if I were to have to answer it, I'm like, I'm a light witch, obviously, because my heart, whatever. But at the same time, I was raised and surrounded by shadow. I needed to see it, witness it, understand it so that I can fucking help to defend it and understand it and get into the mindset of that energy. So, it was just very interesting to me. So we'll see how this all plays out, but there's just a lot of very interesting things that are happening on the planet right now. So if you can, just do your best to stay in the light, and when you're working in the shadow, just remember that you cannot change somebody else. That's not your job. That's not your mission, And I love that this almost kind of looks like the cracked egg too. It's a pink agate. We're here. If you found yourself here, you're here to help with the light language. You're here to help assist in the light rising back up so that we don't have people like American Psycho, who looks beautiful on the outside, dresses, has money, and can lure any woman and then fucking rape and dismember and kill her. It's fucking gross, in my opinion. I don't understand. Like, there's already been a movie made of the book. It's there. It's done. The fact that it's like, what do you want to make it more vile, more disgusting, more, it's like, because it's relevant right now, because that's what's happening. Yeah. Well, at the same time, I don't know. You know what I mean? So, but it makes me sound judgy. I hear myself, so I'm going to retract and leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. Do we have any more messages for this reading today, Spirit, before we close out? Do we have any more messages? No. And I'm going to leave on a light note. Remember that the Starborn and these multicolored entities and energies that are on this planet right now, we're here for a reason, right? We're here for a reason. To be loving beings, to be loving light workers, to say, hey, you know what? That's not okay. That's not okay. That's not okay. Let love lead the way moving forward with yourself, with other people. And when you don't understand something, look into it on your own. Don't try and seek it out in other people. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like, that's not your mission. That's not part of like what you're meant to do and where you're meant to be in this path. Oh my gosh, look at that. Dude, the camera just moved on its own. I didn't do that. It's because you're meant to follow the light, they said. And see how this kind of looks like a heart? We need to be the light in the darkness, the green, the heart chakra. We need to love people even when they disappoint us. We have to love them even harder. Even the people who hurt us, we have to forgive them so that we can move forward. And forgiveness is a one-way street. They don't have to accept your apology either. Also, I was wondering if this would come in, but this was on a bookmark. So angel number 1414, and it says, what are you waiting for? The time to act is now. Oh, shit. What are you waiting for? The time to act is now. I'm taking a screenshot. So there you go. What are you waiting for? Time to act is now. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. All of my information is on this channel. If you would like to work with me, reach out and send me an email to lulaslabyrinth@gmail.com. I finally got everything squared away, you guys. So the magical medium and magicalmedium@gmail.com, both of those, they don't want to work, and I'm not going to fight it. Spirit, I got locked out, and I'm not going to try and go through the whole thing with Google. They want me to keep it lulaslabyrinth@gmail.com. So if you had it from before, use that one. If you email me or have emailed me on magicalmedium@gmail.com or themagicalmedium@gmail.com, I will never see it. So you're going to have to re-message me on lulaslabyrinth@gmail.com. There's a link on the page. When you go to my channel and click on the top where it says Welcome Witches, Healers, and Deep Down Believers in Magic, it'll bring up all of my information for my Venmo if you'd like to donate and contribute to these readings. Never ever expected, but always appreciated. Thank you. And also to my Amazon wish list, which right now is mostly Amazon, that too, which is mostly Oracle cards and Tarot cards. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's it. But yeah, if you want to, and also I've changed things. If you don't know this, I've spoke about this in the last few months, but my rates, instead of doing by the hour, it just doesn't seem to work out that way. Because we always go over. There's always so much to talk about and go over. So I'm doing readings one-on-one over the phone is $125. And if you'd like a recorded reading, if you're out of the country and we can't connect in that way, then I do recorded readings for $75. And it's cheaper because it's a lot more intensive when we're actually working like that. When I do the recorded reading, it's really cool that you can send me any questions that you want, but then also things always come up from Spirit as well. And so it's recorded and you can go back and you can watch it. But it's just me talking straight to you. And they tend to be a little bit shorter because we're not talking back and forth and bantering and all that good stuff, right? So anyway, so that's it. I love you guys. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. I'll see you at the next reading. Blessed be. Oh, bye.